I'm at a store and I'm watching somebody steal rocks. They're like nice rocks. They are nice rocks. You could tell this store paid probably a pretty penny to decorate the store. They're like colorful rocks all around. They're not like just regular stupid rocks. I wonder how many rocks this lady takes a day. She just grabbed a handful. She probably comes up here all the time and she's stealing rocks. Doesn't matter. Hit the like button on your way in. Let's have a discussion. I want to talk about Pete Hegseth firing the military lawyers. Now, let me say ahead of time, off the bat. One, this story is it might not be something YouTube is gonna push and support, right? So you're gonna hear me keep saying hit the like button. Why? Because I want us to artificially push it, because YouTube may be on the side of this administration, and this administration may not be down with whatever I'm going to talk about. Not that I'm saying misinformation or disinformation. It may be malinformation because they don't want me to expose whatever I'm about to say right now. Therefore, I don't really have the time to play the game that YouTube does, where they listen to me for half an hour, see if I'm going in the vein of what they wanted to expose to the people. That's called propaganda. I'm not doing that with y'all. So I'm just, right? We're going to get into it. Hit the like button. Share the video. Now, shout out to The Atlantic, because I got this story from The Atlantic. The Atlantic is bugging because they won't give me the full story, because they want me to subscribe to the publication. Fine, I went to go do that. You have two plans, Atlantic. You have one for $79 and one for $120. Do it look like that type of climate? You got to read the room. Does it look like that type of climate that I'm paying $79 for your words, or $120 for your words? We live in an era where you gave me the information in the title. I don't really need you, but I shout you out any old way. Now, the title says the Pentagon's lawyers. Oh no, what did I do? Good. The Pentagon's lawyers are now under review. Everybody stick with me. Just listen. The Pentagon's lawyers are now under review. A new Hegseth initiative could consolidate the ranks of JAGs. Hit the like button. Hit the like button on the way in. Don't come here and don't hit the like button. I'm saying a lot of important stuff, and I need this to go viral. I don't need stupidness to go viral. I need this, what I'm about to say, to go viral. So hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. A new Hegseth initiative could consolidate. Listen to what this is, The Atlantic saying this. The ranks of JAGs, targeting those who act as legal guardrails. Don't worry. This is by Sarah Fitzpatrick and Missy Ryan. Give you the shout out. All right, here we go. I don't got my peepers with me today. I think I left them home. It says, one of Pete Hegseth's first actions after taking charge at the Pentagon was to fire top lawyers in the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Senior officers who the Defense Secretary said functioned as roadblocks to the president's orders. Hit the like button on the way in. As roadblocks, so you got rid of them. Let me save what I'm about to. I don't want it to be a mystery. What I'm alluding to is that these people knew they was going to break the law or military law, shall I say, right? From what I'm hearing, and you don't know on both sides, I'm not taking up for Iran because I don't know where Iran's missiles is landing on Israel. However, we do know a school full of girls was bombed. And I do believe there is some type of, people say there's no laws during war. But I think that there are laws that all these nations came up and said, you know what, we won't do this during times of war. And I think that, but don't worry, we will get into a lot of stuff. Just stick with me. Hit the like button. I'm starting off very thin, and then it's gonna ramp up real fast. So don't leave. Not if you want information. Who's that? Uncle Andy in the building? Uncle Andy, what's good, brother? Let him know. It says the former National Guardsman has a history of hostility towards military lawyers and the legal restraints they impose on the use of military might. They are known as Judge Advocates General. Hegseth calls them jagoffs. That's kind of funny, Hegseth. It's kind of funny, my alcoholic friend. This week, Hegseth proposed a ruthless overhaul of how the military's thousands of lawyers in uniform and their civilian counterparts are organized, part of his campaign to move from, as he called it, tepid legality to maximize. What word is that? Lethality. What does that mean? Anyway, if I wasn't on a live, I would look that up right now. That's what I do to learn things. I believe I've seen that word before. It's lethal, but then it has an ITY. So it will be lethality, which doesn't sound like I've ever learned that word or had a reason to use it. Anyway, JAGs serve a vital oversight function on issues such as whether drone strikes are aimed at legal justified targets, here we go, and whether to prosecute adultery. What? In some circumstances, the delivery of legal services across the military departments has become marked by duplication of effort. And then all of a sudden, it starts to fade out, right? The words start to fade out because they want the $80 from me, which I'm not going to give the $80. Hit the like button on the way in. So what I did is what everybody with good sense would do is open up ChatGPT. And I say, did Pete Hegseth fire military lawyers and when? Let's get to it. ChatGPT responds, yes, Pete Hegseth did fire top U.S. military lawyers, and it happened in February 2025. Really? Shortly after he became U.S. Secretary of Defense. Remember that part in Training Day when he was like, you've been planning this all day. Denzel looks at Ethan Hawke and he says, son, I've been planning this all week. Yeah, I think that's what this is. I think that's what this is. That Dan Bongino barely made it out of there. Barely. But I'm gonna give everyone's still giving him a lot of flack for not leaving sooner. At least he left. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. The only reason I think he didn't leave sooner is because they asked him, please just don't leave right now. Because we all heard the murmurings, and the rumors that he was gonna leave around the same time those files they got access to the files. Around the same time, Dan Bongino was livid because there was no transparency. Why Tulsi is still there, I don't know. Donald Trump turned his back on Tulsi. Baby girl, you look like a model. You could go do whatever, Tulsi. Why? Why you there? Go do something else. I didn't want Marjorie to leave, but I'm kind of happy she left because it separates, it gives us a clear distinction who we're dealing with. So this way, Marjorie, if you ever want to come back, which I think, listen, Marjorie, I was rocking with you from day one, baby girl. So if you want to come back, let's make it happen, Captain, because I believe you got good visuals for things. You can see some things. It's just that it get frustrated, and she got up out of there. We might need her back. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to first finish what ChatGPT told me. First, it told me Hegseth did this in 2025, as soon as he got in there. Why would that be a priority of yours or Donald Trump's? To get rid of the top Pentagon lawyers. Now, you got to understand why I'm asking this. I'm asking this because he had some other political adversaries, and if we want to call them enemies, let's call them that. You understand? We got Alvin Bragg out in New York. Hold on. I definitely asked everybody to hit the like button. I don't want to curse nobody out. I don't. I'm really, before I did this video, I said, yo, bro, don't go up there wilding out, flipping on the people, talking crazy. I said that several times to myself. Said just do a regular show and give them the information, because the information you're going to give them, they're going to need. Now, I didn't get to the information yet, because this is not the information I'm giving you. But I would like you to hit the like button so that others can hear the information when I get to it, please. Don't be like that. I'm not asking you to hit the like button because I want to grow my YouTube channel so I can live off YouTube, because that's what people be worried about, right? You're going to do better than them. Just hit the like button so others, so the software knows I'm talking about something, and it sends more people. If you don't hit the like button, then they act like, oh, it's just a regular conversation. This is not a regular conversation I'm about to have. I assure you that. Hit the like button. Among those fired, now this is where ChatGPT kind of pissed me off, but we'll get to that. It said among those fired was General Joseph B. Berger III, as if we needed more than two Joseph Bergers in the world. Judge Advocate General of the U.S. Army. General Charles L. Plummer, Judge Advocate General of the U.S. Air Force and Space Force. This is wild. This is the wildest thing I've ever heard. Reports at the time also indicated the Navy's top lawyer was removed as part of the same shakeup. Hegseth publicly said he removed them because he wanted lawyers who would advise commanders but not act as roadblocks to military decisions or presidential orders. Hexef, I hope you get arrested, bro. I'm just saying. I definitely hope you get arrested. If there's an arrest to be made, I hope you're before trial. Because you are complicit. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I know a few words here and there, and it sounds like you are complicit, brother. Why it became a big controversy. The JAG Corps is responsible for, check this out, y'all. This is what the JAG Corps is responsible for. Advertising commanders on the laws of war, determining if orders are legal, prosecuting war crimes or military misconduct. And you got rid of all of the top lawyers, the attorneys. So critics said removing the top lawyers could weaken legal oversight inside the military. You think? ChatGPT goes on to say, January 2025, Hexef becomes Secretary of Defense. February, fires the Army and Air Force. Then it solicits some unwanted suggestions. If you want, I can also explain. I stopped ChatGPT in its tracks. Yo, shut up. You said reports of firing the top Navy lawyer as well. Well, did they or didn't they? Was the report? Why would you say reports? Like, did they fire the Navy attorney as well? Stop playing with me, ChatGPT. ChatGPT says yes, he did fire the Navy's top military lawyer as well. Why would that, listen, America, why would that be a top priority when he had Fannie Willis out here on his heels? He had Alvin Bragg on his heels. He had a bunch of people out here on his heels. Why would that be the top priority? And I'll get to the chat in a second. I do not have my peepers on, and I'm going to have to lean very close to the screen. But I want us to work through this together because people swear that we, the conspiracy theorists, have lost our minds because they couldn't see what we see. Not that I always see it. I'm not going to lie to you. He got one over on me because I did not think he was going this route because he was talking some let's make America great again business. Then he just pulled the rug underneath everybody's legs. So the answer is Army, JAG, fired. Air Force, Space Force, fired. Navy, fired. That's 4 out of the 5 that we have? And maybe we have to consider why didn't he fire the Marines? JAG. Was he on his side? Was he living out a few good men? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Then that whole speech that Jack Nichols gave after that, we live in a world where blase, blase, blah. Bro, you guys, these are the things that cause shadow governments. You guys doing what you think is best for everybody without us all talking about it on this island of Lord and of the Flies. You still have to talk to the group. Let's keep on going. Before I get into what I'm going to get into, I'm going to see what else ChatGPT says before I really get into some things that I think you need to hear. These JAG officers are the highest legal authorities in each branch of the military, responsible for advising commanders on the legality of operations and enforcing the laws of war. Important detail. At the time, Hegseth said he wanted new legal leadership because he believed the existing lawyers were not well suited to advise commanders when lawful orders were given. Yo, you're crazy, XF. But I knew that coming out support out of his whole cabinet, out of everybody, XF, I called this. I said you was the one I was worried about the most. The most. And I was not wrong there. Bottom line, the Navy's top military lawyer was removed along with the Army. Okay, we got it. We got it. Now, I'll give you the information. How many people we got in here? We got 26 left. Well, those 6 people played themselves. Chili Willie says, those generals know this is an illegal war. Talk to me. Let's go. Starboy the Knight says unity. Let's go. All right. Let me give you this. I was reading. And I'm going to tell you what I was reading so that you can go read it yourself. And I'm going to tell you where I got this from so that you can go read it yourself. You see that? It says HR 4079 and FEMA Federal Emergency Management Agency. Tool that can be used to establish the police state, patriots and tax protectors. You must never be found at home on any holiday. Okay, it starts off and it sounds like propaganda, right? I've read this like over 20 years ago. Because this is from chapter 6 of Behold the Pale Horse by William Cooper. I'm really trying to get to chapter 9 for you guys. But I keep on falling back on other chapters because every time I read, I'll read something like, oh, they gotta hear this. So I'm gonna read something. I'm gonna read as much as I can. All you have to do is sit back and listen. This is from his book. It says Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. The following is a transcript of an audio tape with an urgent message to the people from William Cooper on the subject of HR 4079. We must stop the traitors now. William Cooper dictated this information to me by phone early in 1990. By the way, he was killed. And I tape recorded the information as he gave it. I made many tapes and sent them out exactly as Mr. Cooper has asked me to do, and those recipients have done the same. My name is Richard Murray, and I believe that William Cooper is the only man in America outside the secret government who truly knows what is happening and what it means to us, the average American citizen. This is why I'm telling you to hit the like button, people. Let me just say this before I read. My people perish for lack of knowledge. It is amazing to me people won't read. And then you won't even listen to somebody else read? How lazy do you have to be if I'm telling you that what I'm about to tell you is important? You want to watch cat memes or something to make you laugh. Anyway, I will never understand. It's not for me to understand. The beginning of the tape goes like this. There's a guy by the name of Buster Horton. He's a member of FEMA, and he's a member of the interdepartmental unit, which is empowered in the event of a national security emergency to become the unelected national government. Now, I had to read that twice, not only because I messed up and fumbled over the words, because I wanted to make sure I was comprehending what I was reading. So I said, wait, Buster Horton, he's a member of the interdepartmental unit of FEMA, which is empowered in the event of a national security emergency to become the unelected national government, a sort of FEMA secret government, so to speak. So this had now he had my interest, so I kept on reading. A pretext for invoking those emergency measures can be found almost daily in the newspapers. It can be anything from the suspicion of debt payments by the high bureaus of America's country to mass runs on U.S. commercial banks. And that's an issue, by the way. That's being handled personally by the National Security Council and Brent Skolskoff. I don't know what that means, but to food shortages, to drug war, the whole bit, anything, any disaster emergency declared at all, even including the oil spill from the Exxon tanker in Alaska. If the president had declared a national emergency that could have triggered it, any instability in the Middle East, anything, in fact. We got to remember, these words are so old. These words are from 1990, but if I was at home, I would go back even further to the John Birch Society in 1950s that kind of warned us of these shadow governments. But now we are at a place where the shadow governments are really exposing themselves. And one of the reasons we all took to Trump is because we felt there was some type of shadow government in this world, in this America. But he was the only one to say it out loud. He used to say that all the time, right? What do you used to call them? The dark government or the shadow? I think he called them the shadow government. So it made us feel like, yo, this dude is on our side. Because he said he was going to drain the swamp. He was actually shouting them, like calling them out, and nobody had done that before. And in all reality, no, they wouldn't even acknowledge that there was it seemed to be a schism somewhere when it came to governance, and it seemed like, well, what it was fascism, to tell you the truth, flat out and plain, but they did not want to admit that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Keep hitting the like button. Thank you for the people that hit the like button, because you know where I'm going with this. Let's keep going. And they've already tested their capabilities in April 1984 with, check this out, Rex 84A. Now, it's been some time since I studied all these things. So I said, Rex 84A. I remember studying Rex 84. What was that about again? So I had to pick up the phone. Said, let me see. I forgot what Rex 84 was about. My daughter just miraculously called me last week to ask me about, she was like, Daddy, you know about 8888? So I said, yeah, the zombie project. She was like, yeah, that's right. I studied so many things, but I forgot over time. So Rex 84 was short for the readiness exercise of 1984. Was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to detain, hit the like button, Rex 84 was a drill exercise, a readiness exercise rather, developed by the United States to detain large numbers of United States residents deemed to be national security threats in the event that the president declared a national emergency. The scenario envisioned state defense forces rounding up to 500,000 undocumented, that's what it says here, Central American residents and 4,000 American citizens whom the U.S. Attorney General had designated as national security threats. Yo, bro. Yo, are they playing right in front of our face? Are they? That's all I need to know. Are they playing around in my face? You wrote this in 1984? Then the administration right before Trump becomes so stupid and retarded. And I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. YouTube has not been playing around me lately. Any way they could take my little funds, they like, oh, this is not advertised, so I gotta watch my language. This is not advertised friendly, but this is the way I talk. The last administration. Now, before any of you getting sensitive, I don't believe in Democrat or Republican. I think they the same bird or two different wings on the same bird, right? But I want to point this out. The reason they got us to actually vote for this guy is because they had did things so extreme and biased against our culture and made it seem as if they was actually representing the entirety of everyone. That's how we all felt, that we all wanted men to dress in pantyhose and prance around, and you can just say what you are willy-nilly, and everyone was okay with it. No, we wasn't okay with it, but you made it seem like there was a consequence for not being down with it, right? You get fired from your job if you voice your opinion. So a lot of people they didn't say anything at all. Hit the like button. They didn't say anything at all, but that's not how they felt. Why? Because they had conservative views. They had instructions from their grandparents and their great-grandparents on how to sustain life. This is how you raise a family. This is how you become a man. This is how you treat your husband. These are things that was passed down culturally. Then for some reason, we had another group. When I tell you that the administration was so wild and crazy, that the president had dementia, the vice president had a job to do. She did not do the job. She was on all type of radio stations talking about God knows what, everything except the one job before he got dementia told her to do. Yo, could you just guard the border for me before, She's like, yeah, I got you, Joe. Very next day, Joe Biden's out here talking craziness in front of kids. He's out here shaking hands with flags. I said, oh, he's fully gone. He's out of here. Bye, Joe. Good riddance. I didn't like you anyway. You was a piece of shit when you was younger. It's okay, though. Good riddance. So we have a brain-dead president, literally, we have a brain-dead vice president, metaphorically, and it seems like special interest groups just went wild and they took total control of America. Black Lives Matter, trannies everywhere. It was chaos. It was a circus. So the one guy that seemed like, okay, give it back to him because he could probably put things in order. You understand? He could put the genie back in the bottle. Why did I feel like that? Because he's literally the only guy who brought peace to the Middle East in his first term. Literally. The only guy who did it. So I said he could do it. What I'm proposing to you today is that was on purpose. Now, let's remember, she did unnecessarily, and I have no reason to this day, a good reason. Well, I do understand why she let in so many illegal aliens, right? Because they were going to change the rules, allegedly. They was going to change the rules so that these illegal aliens did not have to show any ID when they went to go vote, and then they could just vote. So you got two, whether it's Democrat or Republican, y'all both doing unscrupulous, you're doing like ridiculous things to get what you want. Which means you guys are on the same wavelength. And if you're not for us, you're against us. That's just it. If you're not for us, you're against us. And the things that you're doing doesn't seem like you're really for us. But bigger than that, you guys had to be together because it's playing out just like you hoped it would. This is an exercise from 1984. And the scenario is envisioned as a state defense rounding up 500,000 undocumented. Only thing that changed, let me finish that. 500,000 undocumented Central American residents and 4,000 American citizens. Only thing that has changed is the number, right? Because you let in wait. So the plan is still the same. You let in millions. So if that number went up, if your plan was in 1984 to round up 4,000 American citizens whom the U.S. Attorney General had designated as national security threats, then you tell me, America, how many do they really plan on rounding up? Oh, don't let them do that. Don't let them put the numbers down. Hit the like button if you ain't hit the like button yet. Don't let them hit the numbers down. See, this is what I was telling you before. That's why I told you hit the like button. Because once they get a drift of what I'm talking about, they're not going to want this information out. But I already told you. You understand? If you didn't do it, then whatever. I wasn't asking you for me. I was asking you so that the rest of America, because if I was up here just talking about the Iran war, the Iron Dome, and they would have pushed all the people in here. I know how to get the people in here. The thing is, I don't always want to talk about that stupidness. I want to talk about something that matters. Now, let's get back to William Cooper. William Cooper says, and they've already tested their capabilities in April 1984 with Rex 84A, and that was designed to test the readiness of the U.S. civilian and military to respond to serious national security crisis. Now, the executive order that will implement this, the executive order 11051, executive order 11051, details responsibilities to the Office of Emergency Planning or FEMA. It gives authorization to put all, in capital letters, executive orders into effect in times of national emergency declared by the president. Increased international, they broke the word up, y'all. Increased international tension or economical or financial crisis. Parentheses. Note this, that it covers every conceivable domestic crisis, but does not even mention war or nuclear attack. Well, recently you guys have been hearing how BlackRock has not been giving everyone who requested a withdrawal all of their money. And BlackRock has responded and said that it was already in the clause that you would only get a certain amount of your money if you wanted your money impromptu, right? And that seems reasonable. Maybe the people who invested their money didn't want to hear that at the time because they were so excited about how successful BlackRock was. However, I don't want to start freestyling. I think BlackRock definitely manages. Well, never mind that. I don't want to go down that road. But when you do become so successful, I guess other managers of money would look at it like, well, they seem to be very successful, legit, highly recommended. Hey, let's put our pension funds over there, right? They got all type of government contracts and they're managing everybody's money, and look at their portfolio, and they pretty much own everything already. It makes sense. Not realizing that it could happen to such a titan in the financial world as well. That peril could affect them as well, especially if there seems to be some type of panic attack and everybody comes for their money at one time. This is not the first time this has happened. Let's keep on reading. Now, the only thing that has to happen for FEMA to be able to implement all the executive orders, emergency executive orders, is for the president to declare a national emergency of any type, as long as it's a national emergency. Executive Order 10995 provides for the takeover of the communications media. Executive Order 10997 provides for the takeover of all electric power, petroleum, gas, fuels, and minerals. Executive Order 10988 provides for the takeover of food resources and farms. Executive Order 10999 provides for the takeover of all modes of transportation, controls of highways and seaports. Executive Order 11,000 provides for the mobilization of all civilians into work brigades under the government supervision. Oh, snap! What? Jail? Who? Okay, so now do you understand why they wanted everybody's automatic rifles and they let these kids with the pistols kill each other by the hundreds? They didn't care nothing about guns on the street. They kept on telling you this was about guns on the street. They didn't care about guns on the street. If they cared about guns on the street, they would not have all these kids running around killing each other. But they were black, so it's not like America had that much value for them. However, I don't think it was about pistols. I think it was about getting the automatic weapons off of the streets, because of when the time comes, they know it's going to be some pushback. So what they have been trying to do, because they know who has access and who has been going to the gun shows. They know. It has been the same middle class white Americans and up. When I say and up, I mean from middle class and up. But it's majority white American citizens. So the United States have been working feverishly to put disparity against Negroes and Caucasians. They have worked on this thing for a long time. They really want dissension So every couple of years, we used to see a white cop that shot a black kid. Everybody goes crazy. The emotions come out, right? Cities get burned down. When the time comes, they did not want us to be join forces. Trust me when I'm telling you, they did not want. This is an old tactic. In fact, this is an ancient tactic. This tactic was actually used in the Tower of Babel. See, like this, we strong, but like this the same tactic they use in the Bible when the people was trying to build a tower to the heavens, and the gods came down and they didn't even like do any physical harm. This is why you have to look at that story and admire it and appreciate the story, because it's trying to tell you something. They didn't even do physical harm to the people that was trying to build a portal out of here. They just said, yo, confuse them all. Confuse them. Don't let them talk to each other. Bah! And we didn't know what to do. We all went off in our separate. The secret to fighting back is solidarity. Somebody put it in there as soon as I started the video. They say unity. That is really the secret. We are different. So that doesn't matter. But they don't even teach us about our differences. They out here telling you white people came from the mountains. If that was true, it is not. That is part of the story, but that's not where they arrive. That's not where they derive from. That's not the origin of white people. And yet, you let these people tell you that they came from the mountains. So we are different. If they would only acknowledge our differences with truth and sincerity, we would have an understanding. But they don't acknowledge it like that. Let me keep on going. I'm going to read that one again for the people that just came in the room. Executive Order 11,000 provides for the mobilization of all civilians into work brigades under the government supervision. Executive Order 11001 provides for governmental takeover of all health, education, and welfare functions. Executive Order 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. Executive Order 11003 provides for the government to take over airports and aircraft. Executive Order 11004 provides for the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, designate areas to be abandoned, listen, and establish new locations for populations. Hit the goddamn like button, you fucking imbeciles, huh? I said I didn't want to curse you out, but you won't hit the fucking like button. Nope. If I was up here talking some stupid shit, you'd be fucking hitting the like button, sending me money, all this dumb shit. I'm here warning you, giving you a warning of what is in play, what is in store, and you sitting there looking at me like I'm the silly one. Let's keep going. Fucking crazy. Executive Order 11005 provides for the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. Now, all of these were combined under Nixon into one huge executive order, which allows all of us this to take place if the president declares a national emergency and can be implemented by the head of FEMA, not by the president. Jesus. The president has already given him that power under these executive orders. That's crazy. That's crazy. So, you think that you got the president in the handcuff or the chokehold when you go to impeach him, but it's already been a contingency plan in place to set off if that happens. This is serious. This is serious. All of these combined into Executive Order 11490, and that was signed by President Carter on July 20th, 1979, and is in fact law. So if HR 4079 is passed and the president does what it says and declares a national emergency because of the drug situation, whether it's for 1 year, 5 years, 5 minutes, or forever, it doesn't make any difference. FEMA then can implement all these executive orders, take over all local, state, national government, suspend the Constitution, and do whatever they do. Now remember what North said during the Iran-Contra hearings. He said that they were prepared to suspend the Constitution of the United States. And he said if it hadn't been for their getting caught, that this would have happened. And all that did was delay it. This is still going to happen. Good God. He said this in 1990, man. This is why I call William Cooper American hero. You understand? He died so that we can have this information. Some people say, yo, man, you could be doing way better with your YouTube channel. Let me ask you something. What profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? You think I'm going to be up here doing antics for likes? And we got a serious situation on our hand playing out. They got these psyops going on and you're falling for it, right? A ball of yarn and, hey, look at I got the yarn. And you're like, oh, cat memes. Like, then the people that's out here trying to share the knowledge, you barely look at the video. You don't want to know what's going on. You definitely not about to read no books that they suggest, so it don't matter. So they say, okay, let me put in the time to put the show together so I can at least try to resonate with them and get them to understand what's actually happening. But my people perish for lack of knowledge. Now they've nominated, and I think he's been appointed, Major General Calvin Franklin, who's the head of FEMA. He was nominated because of discussions proposing the removal of the implementation of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and Major General Franklin is or was commanding general of the District of Columbia National Guard. Now you've got to know that the National Guard would be of no help at all in combating drug traffic in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else. The primary effectiveness of the National Guard is in controlling mass civic disorders. On March 24th, President Bush issued a new executive order delegating the director of FEMA powers which were vested in the president by the Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act of 1988. And although the order is described by the White House as simply a technical matter, in reality, the revision delegates to the FEMA director direct responsibility for a large number of items which were earlier only the president's prerogative. And that includes responsibility for general federal assistance, federal emergency assistance, hazard mitigation, individual and family grant programs, and the power to direct other federal agencies to assist in an emergency. And that's the key. All other federal agencies will come under FEMA, according to Bill Cooper. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Let me get something to drink. I'm going to keep going. This is chapter 6. In chapter 9, he talks about how all of the governments will work together to make this one autonomy of governance. I could say the word, but YouTube is listening and they're listening for that phrase. That's a hot key phrase that they don't want you to say. So you get what I'm saying. Let us continue on. Of course, the president retains the power to actually declare an emergency, but as soon as he does that, the implementation of the measures utilized will be transferred directly to the director of FEMA. The brains behind this contingency plan for a police state were the members of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission, both of which Bush is a member. Never mind that. Both of which David Rockefeller invented and created. The CFR and the Trilateral Commission were both projects created by David Rockefeller. Now, I've talked to you about his father and him, and they have, his father is the reason that we have the health crisis that we have today. He's the father of all of this ugliness going on with health. It's him. He never wanted true health. He just wanted to make money from health. And to be quite honest, he wanted to make money from disease and then selling you hope for health. That's what he wanted. Winter is in the building. What's up, Winter? We got Uncle Andy in the building. We got Winter in the building. Winter, you missed a little bit of it. I think you missed an hour, so you just got to go back and see what you missed. You missed quite a bit of stuff. I talked about Rex 84. I mentioned at least 10 executive orders, so you're going to have to definitely go back and join the replay game. All right, let's continue on. All right. The FEMA Advisory Board is dominated by Professor Samuel P. Huntington. In 1978, Huntington drafted for Jimmy Carter Presidential Memorandum 32, which led to the creation of FEMA in 1979. And he's a Harvard professor. He wrote the seminal piece for the Trilateral Commission in the mid-70s, recommending that democracy and economic development be discarded as outdated ideas. Jesus. He wrote as co-author the book Crises and Democracy. We have come to recognize that there are potential desirable limits to economic growth. There are also potentially desirable limits to the infinite extension of political democracy. A government which lacks authority will have little ability, short of cataclysmic crisis, to impose on its people the sacrifices which may be necessary. All of Huntington's ideas were rewritten into National Security Division Directive 47, which is in NSDD 47. And that was enacted by President Reagan on July 22nd, 1982. So hindsight is 2020. What it looks like is, and this is why we say they're the same, two different wings on the same bird. You would have to live through a couple of presidents, and then you will see that it is literally a baton, right? You will literally, if you look at the laws that they probably, because they're not supposed to just be willy-nilly even creating laws. So most of these are through executive orders. But if you look what they're setting up, the precedents that they're setting up, these presidents, you could literally see in your head the baton getting passed off. And that doesn't even matter what Democrat, what party, what political party that they claim to be a part of. They are still setting up the next president for something sinister. And then that president, even though they're not of the same party, piggybacks off of that. Obama did put the Dodd-Frank Act in place, but at the same time, he did allow these CEOs to walk away with golden parachutes. So it's like they got away with it, and then he's like, all right, but nobody else is getting away with this. Nobody else. Then he leaves. As soon as he leaves, Donald Trump is like, yeah, so we just going to raise the threshold on that from 50 million to 250 million assets. So keep the party going. You understand? Let's continue on. Well, I'm just going to start that over because I forgot where I was at. Oh, there I was. All of Huntington's ideas were rewritten into National Security Directive 47, which is NSDD 47. It identified important areas to be upgraded, such as the nation's industrial base to maintain national defense. But it nonetheless, and this is very important, laid the groundwork for the secret government's options to institute a police state. And its title is Emergency Mobilization Preparedness. Whew. It ordered preparedness measures that involve the waiving or modification of socio-economic regulations that delay emergency responses and that should receive priority attention. It also specified that preparedness measures that are or may be impeded by legal constraints be identified in the priority task that lays the groundwork for suspension of the Constitution. Bill Cooper says, make copies of this tape if you want. You don't even have to transcribe it if you don't want, but get this out to the people. It is important that they understand that if HR 4079 is passed, their history. Well, he's dead because they killed him. But I'm here. And as I was reading that, I was thinking about so many things. One, and I'll try to say this so it makes sense and I'm not speaking in parables. Number one is I often think about the real reason they started a new military branch. Now, some people say, oh, it's not new. I hate when people come in and they say things that just doesn't make fucking sense. Like, no, the Space Force was always there. They just didn't, if they changed the name, then it wasn't always there because they just didn't change the name without changing some other things. Space Force is not Air Force. Let's get that correct. So that's a lie when you tell the people, no, Space Force was always there. Apparently it wasn't always there. It was not recognized as an actual branch of the military. I hate when people just say shit because you want to sound smart at the time. They did not even announce, they just recently announced it was a branch of the military within the last 5 years? Really less than that, probably the last 3 years. So my thoughts were, why did you make Space Force a military branch. Because it does sound synonymous with Air Force. And they are not the same thing. When they say Space Force, that's what they mean. But then I start to read information that NASA had from the 80s about life on the possibility of life being on other planets, specifically Saturn. There's a book, The Ringmakers of Saturn. You might want to check it out. May not. I don't know. I've been reading that lately. I definitely read a bunch of other, I would call them, I don't like calling them fringe, but that's what they are. I refuse to call them pseudo. I would not disrespect them like that. But let's just say they're fringe, taboo, whatever you want to say. They're not mainstream, but I'm not a mainstream type of guy because there's reason for my skepticism. Mainstream has been contaminated and proven to be brought by people with money. This has always been the case. This is what John D. Rockefeller did with Abraham Flexner when it came to the health industry. He got him to write a publication about these other schools that would not submit to the will of this new guy that wanted to come with this scientific medicine term. And these other schools really didn't support all of that. And guess what? Abraham Flexner just wrote them right out. Yeah, I would never send my kids here. This school is this and this school is that. And then their registration dropped. So I'm very skeptical of scientists. Not science, scientists. Especially mainstream scientists. They all have been proven to move the needle whenever they're needed. And I don't know why I had higher standards for Neil deGrasse, but I did until he couldn't even admit that there was an XX chromosome and an XY chromosome. When he couldn't admit that, and he just said out like, yo, what does it matter? You know, if I feel like a girl today, I said, oh, get this fucking idiot off my... He's a fucking jerk off. You call yourself a scientist? Peace, peace. We got mobile in the building. I'm mentioning these things not to go off on a tangent and a rant. I want everyone to consider everything that's going on. And sometimes too much of one frequency is just too much of anything is no good. So I had to, like, I didn't want to talk about Iran war, right? But that's what they want me to talk about if I want high numbers for my video and all that. I don't want to talk about that. I would rather give the people something that is more valuable than repeating refurbished nonsense. Now, the moral of today's story is, why did Pete Hegseth fire all these attorneys, these advisors, these legal advisors, the second month they were in office at the request of President Donald Trump? Maybe my theory is Donald Trump knew he was going to get into something down the line and he was definitely going to break the law. And he did not feel that these older conservative advisors would be down with his plan. which obviously he was correct. Now, at this point, everything he has done has been treasonous because we made Israel a state along with the UK. I don't know how we started taking. If that was out, if we started them out, then they're like our little sons, our little brothers. How they became the big dog is ridiculous. How they started giving orders. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't even think they could have sustained without the United States financial supplemental money, right? We sending them foreign aid. I don't think they could have sustained without our foreign aid. Then they used the foreign aid that we gave them to buy our politicians. That's what it seems like right now. What a plan. What a plan. And the plan worked. The plan worked. So, in my opinion, United States citizens, we're kind of on our own unless we are dealing with senators who refuse to take that money from AIPAC. It's very apparent that we're on our own, that we truly don't have leaders, representatives that care for us. So, what I would like to say is, spend your time and your money wisely. If you can still go out and get your guns, get your guns. If you can only I can only give you the real advice. I can't give you no phony baloney advice. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you what. You can look up anything I'm reading to you. So it's not about me yelling fire in a crowded stadium. I don't have to do that. There's no need for me to do that. But I think you need to protect you and your family. So if you can get to a gun show and get, even a semi-automatic rifle, and then somehow learn how to take the pen out of the gun to make it an automatic rifle, you do what you got to do. You do what you got to do. Because if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, this looks like a duck. I'm going to continue on. That was chapter. All right. He has some more in here. I guess I can read this part. Yeah, I'll read this part. He has a section in here that's called Implementing the New Government. This is American hero William Cooper, former military man, just like Eric Snowden, who in my opinion should be given more respect because he was only telling the American people that the people that are in charge are doing something scrupulous and they are lying to us. In classic hypocrisy, the American government says, well, that was illegal to say that we're tell what we're doing. You can't tell what we're doing because then you put other people at risk. Shut up. You sound crazy. You sound ridiculous. This section says implementing the new government. If you could do me a favor and still hit the like button. I know some of you guys are going and coming, but if you could find the like button, let's get that bad boy up to 20, right? Let's get it up to 20 for me, please. I didn't even want to do this show, to be honest with you. Implementing the new government. Well, you see, there's much more to life in a free country than paying your mortgage. You have to be aware of what is going on and act accordingly and participate in government. That is, get involved. Examining the organization chart on Executive Order 11490 to discover how we have all helped finance through our tax dollars the mechanics of the overthrow of our Constitution. Executive Order 11490 designates certain authorities to the Office of Emergency Preparedness, which in turn designates authority to the various departments of the federal government. If order were implemented, the Post Office Department would be responsible for national registration. The State Department would be responsible for the protection of the United Nations personnel or property or prevention of escape from the United States. The Department of Defense would be responsible for the expropriation of industry, direction of services and national production system, control of censorship, and communication expropriation of non-industrial facilities. The Commerce Department would be responsible for expropriation, selection, and international distribution of commodities, which would be the actual looting of the United States, census information, and human resources. The Treasury Department would be responsible for collection of cash and non-cash items and the recreation of evidence of assets and liabilities. Wow. The Justice Department would have concurrent responsibility with the Department of State for prevention of escape from the United States, for replenishing the stockpiles of narcotics, for a national police force. The federal bank, which is not a federal bank, would be responsible for regulation of withdrawal of currency. The General Services Administration would be responsible for confiscation of private property for government use. Jesus. Health, education, and welfare would be responsible for nationalization of education, which the Department of Education has already done. Health services, hospitals, and mental institutions. The Labor Department would be responsible for recruiting manpower, selecting manpower, referring manpower, and allocating manpower so each particular person that was registered at the post office in this national registration would be told where he was going to work. This is crazy for so many reasons. So, earlier I read Executive Order, hold on. I think I read Executive Order 11,000, right? Executive Order 11,000 provides for the mobilization of all civilians into work brigades under the government supervision. Now, if you can see where we're going with this, in 1958, Robert Welch gave a speech at the John Birch Society and claimed that the United States was trying its hardest to devalue the money by just spending it frivolously and as much as possible as soon as it was coming in. He said that in 1958. And we have seen all type of demonstrations to this as we look at the budgets every year and what they're spending the money on. And every year, the only department not to be transparent is the same department, which is the Pentagon. And even this year, or the last, they tried to block out $90 million. But I think a court order came through and they had to reveal the itemizations of the $90 million. And it was, in my opinion, a lot of it was waste. I found out some things. I thought that the United States, because it makes sense to me that the United States would be making these weapons. Like, why can't we make most of our own weapons? I don't understand why we're not doing that. Then we have our biggest weapon supplier is from the UK. But we have the warehouses here in the United States, making it look like we are creating our own weapons. It's like, obviously, this is some type of Ponzi scheme. There's so much information going on that it's hard for people to catch up and keep their pulse on what's actually relevant. For the people like me who try to put things out and keep people relevant, we're being suppressed by some type of power, which makes it seem like no one is interested in what we're saying, which is not necessarily true. No one gets a chance to even know we exist. Not at the same intensity as someone who's doing cat videos. So, when I talk about the science that has been discovered, the biological science, the biological nanotechnology, the new inventions and things that they found out we can do with the body and DNA, and not only sequencing your DNA, but editing your DNA. Now, whereas most people are concentrated on mutants, which they can do, and they have been able to do for a while. You can just read Project Montauk, but that's even old. But I won't get into that right now. Mutants are real because we've been here before, and there have been civilizations that done what we're trying to do way better than us. This is why you get these stories of the mermaid and the stories of all these werewolves and things, because these things actually existed at one point in time because of genetic modifications. This would not be the first time on this planet or elsewhere that the genetic code was tampered with to create what we would call a mutant. However, hit the like button. However, that is a distraction, meaning that is not the biggest thing we need to worry about when it comes to any type of visions for our anatomy. What we should be more concerned about is the ability to seamlessly attach an IP address to our physical body without us even wearing a device, so that we can be accounted for whenever and wherever we are at. What we should be worried about is how they plan to use our biometrics. This is what we should be more concerned about. And if, in fact, your fingerprints is not only the only unique identifier on your body, it's not only your fingertips, it's not only your teeth. Obviously, Sam Altman has figured out that it's also something within the eyes. He has created his own retina scanner that is attached to something called WorldCoin. I have told people about this. That stock is probably going to boom, but it's not time for that yet. The reason it's not time for that is because we don't even have the infrastructure yet, but they are putting everything in place incrementally and tactfully. They don't do things in a rush. They have timelines that they do things, so it makes it look, this is what rocks you to sleep. This is how they get away with it. And as long as the people doing their lifetime do their job, they are rewarded. They are praised for doing what they had to do to bring about what we call this new world order. Oh, I didn't even know he wrote about this. I didn't even know he wrote about that. Wow. I'm going to read about that another time. I'm trying to get down to chapter 9. All right, this is chapter 12. It's not chapter 9, but it has my attention, so I'm going to go with it. It says the secret government. The origin, identity, and purpose of MJ-12. Now, I know about the Majestic 12, and in all actuality, I've spoken about them before, and I have given you the names of the Majestic 12, and all of them are dead. However, before they have passed away, they have chosen their prodigies. But let's see what the great Bill Cooper said about it. I don't think I ever read chapter 12, but here we go. Not all of my information I get from William Cooper. It just so happened he's talking about things that I have studied. It says he wrote this May 23rd, 1989, but it was updated November 21st, 1990. The signs are increasing. The lights in the sky will appear red, blue, green rapidly. Someone is coming from very far and wants to meet the people of Earth. Meetings have already taken place, but those who have really seen have been silent. That is Pope John the 12th? No. Sorry. Couldn't be the 12th. Pope John the 22nd. It's written in Roman letters, so 1935. Well, here's the thing. President Trump is now talking about he's down to release the files on aliens, and I don't think I care, because I think he's just doing that to distract the people. And furthermore, you're not going to tell the real truth. You're not going to discuss the Galactic Federation of Light. If you release all those files and you don't talk about the Galactic Federation of Light, what's the use? Then I know you're a liar, right? Because I already know. First of all, y'all, do you know that our scientists said that there are billions of, if not trillions of galaxies? Billions, if not trillions of galaxies. For you to think that Earth is so special that we would only have life, you're crazy. I shouldn't call you crazy. You're disillusioned. You're disillusioned. And don't worry about aliens, because they're already down here. Now, there was a NASA scientist and analyst who wrote about what he's seen as one of our, what do you want to call these things that fly around and just take pictures and send them back via radio waves to the United States? They call them flybys, but there's another word for it, obviously. But they just fly by, right? And it was, they sent out 2 of them. Right now, they are like 15 million light years away. But at the time, in the 80s, they had sent it out, and it sent back pictures of Saturn. And the NASA scientists, I guess he thought it would be a good idea to tell the truth of what he witnessed. It wasn't taken well. By our administration, they didn't want everybody to, you know what? They never think that you guys can handle the information. That's one reason. They feel like no matter what they do, there's going to be civil unrest and you guys are not going to be able to handle it. And I think that's ridiculous not to even give you guys a chance. So you're just going to lie to the American people. And this is what they call malinformation. When you let out information that they didn't want you to know too fast, that's malinformation. So it's not disinformation or misinformation. It's just information they didn't want everybody to know, which is like, who are you? These people have to go, in my opinion. These people have to go. They have to get off this planet. But the problem is, not all of these people are the same type of human being like you and I with Homo sapiens sapiens. And they're not ready to tell you that either yet. But let's continue on. Let me read William Cooper. Many sources of information were used to research this chapter. I originally wrote this piece as a research paper. It was first delivered at the MUFON Symposium on July 2nd, 1989 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Most of this knowledge comes directly from or is a result of my own research into the top secret Majestic, M-A-J-I-C, material which I saw and read between the years of 1970 and 1973 as a member of intelligence briefing team of the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet. Do me a favor. Can you hit the like button and share this live out? Voyager, thank you, Mike. That is exactly what it was. I can't remember everything I read. It was Voyager 1 and it was Voyager 2. Thank you. Michael Wilbur is in the building. Yes, so it was basically saying you can't, that's what the book is actually saying. The book is called The Ringmakers of Saturn. The Ringmakers of Saturn. Now I'm still reading it, but right now I'm at the part where there's some type of artificial electricity going on. And he's trying to explain that this type of electricity could only be generated by something that is artificial, and this seems to be some type of vehicles that are creating this. So, like Michael Wilbur said, basically it came down to we cannot rule out life on these planets because of the evidence that he's presenting. But you go ahead and read the book. The author has been ostracized and demonized. The name of the book is The Ringmakers of Saturn. All right, now let's get back to, and I did ask you to hit the like button and share the live, not because I want to go viral, but because someone that you love may need to just hear this information. Let's get the word out and open up the people's minds. Most of this knowledge comes directly from or is a result of my own research into the top secret magic material which I saw and read between the years 1970 and 1973 as a member of intelligence briefing team of the Commander-in-Chief of the Pacific Fleet. Since some of this information was derived from sources that I cannot divulge for obvious reasons, and from published sources which I cannot vouch for, this chapter must be termed a hypothesis. I firmly believe that if aliens are real, this is the true nature of the beast. It is the only scenario that has been able to bind all the diverse elements. It is the only scenario that answers all the questions and places the various fundamental mysteries in an arena that makes sense. It is the only explanation which shows the chronology of events and demonstrates that the chronologies, when assembled, match perfectly. The bulk of this I believe to be true if the material that I viewed in the Navy is authentic. As for the rest, I do not know, and that is why this paper must be termed a hypothesis. Most historic and current available evidence supports this hypothesis. The secret government. During the years following World War II, the government of the United States was confronted with a series of events which were to change beyond prediction its future and with its future of humanity. These events were so incredible that they defied belief. A stunned President Truman and his top military commanders found themselves virtually impotent after having just won the most devastating and costly war in history. The United States had developed, used, and was the only nation on Earth in possession of the atomic bomb. This new weapon had the potential to destroy an enemy and even the Earth itself. At that time, the United States had the best economy, the most advanced technology, the highest standard of living, exerted the most influence, and fielded the largest and most powerful military forces in history. We can only imagine the confusion and concern when the informed elite of the United States government discovered that an alien spacecraft piloted by insect-like beings from totally incomprehensible culture had crashed in the desert of New Mexico. Between January 1947 and December 1952, at least 16 crashed or downed alien craft, 65 alien bodies, that's a lot, and one live alien were recovered. An additional alien craft had exploded and nothing was recovered from that incident. Of these events, 13 occurred within the borders of the United States, not including the craft which disintegrated in the air. Of these 13, one was in Arizona, 11 were in New Mexico, and one was in Nevada. 3 occurred in foreign countries. Of those, one was in Norway, and the last 2 were in Mexico. Sightings of UFOs were so numerous that serious investigation and debunking of each report became impossible, utilizing the existing intelligent assets. An alien craft was found on February 13, 1948, on a mesa near Aztec, New Mexico. Another craft was located on March 25, 1948, in White Sands Proving Ground. It was 100 feet in diameter. A total of 17 alien bodies were recovered from those 2 crafts. Of even greater significance was the discovery of a large number of human body parts stored within both of these vehicles. A demon had reared its head, and paranoia quickly took hold of everyone then in the know. The secret lid immediately became a top secret lid and was screwed down tight. The security blanket was even tighter than that imposed upon the Manhattan Project. In the coming years, these events were to become the most closely guarded secrets in the history of the world. Remember, I asked you earlier, why would we create Space Force? Don't worry. You'll get your answer. And you will give yourself the answer. I will not give you the answer. You will give yourself the answer. A special group of America's top scientists were organized under the name Project Sign in December 1947 to study the phenomenon. The whole nasty business was contained. Project Sign evolved into Project Grudge in December 1948. A low-level collection and disinformation project named Blue Book was formed under Grudge. 16 volumes were to come out of Grudge. Blue teams were put together to recover the crash disc and dead or alive aliens. The blue teams were later to evolve into alpha teams under Project Pounce. During these early years, the United States Air Force and the Central Intelligence Agency exercised complete control over the alien secret. In fact, the CIA was formed by President Executive Order first as the Central Intelligence Groups for the express purpose of dealing with the alien presence. Later, the National Security Act was passed, establishing it as the Central Intelligence Agency. The National Security Council was established to oversee intelligence community and establish the alien endeavor. A series of National Security Council memos and executive orders removed the CIA from the sole task of gathering foreign intelligence and slowly but thoroughly legalized direct action in the form of covert activities at home and abroad. Well, that's clear. It doesn't seem like they're supposed to be conducting any business domestically, but they're doing it, obviously. On December 9th, 1947, Truman approved issuance of NSC-4, National Security Council-4, entitled Coordination of Foreign Intelligence Information Measures at the urging of Secretaries Marshall, Forrestal, Patterson, and Director of State Department's Policy Planning Staff, George Kennan. All right. The Foreign and Military Intelligence Book. Quotes, final report of the Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities. That's a long title, bro. And ending quotes. United States Senate 94 Congress, second session. Report number 94-755, April 26, 1976, page 49, states, this directive empowered the Secretary of State to coordinate overseas information activities designed to counter communism. Okay. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff on this page here. I'm trying to get to the MJ-12. MJ-12. The study panel was not called MJ-12, but another MS Middle. These national security members and secret executors set the stage for the creation of MJ-12 only after 4 years later. Okay, that's what I want to get to. Secretary of Defense, he was very idealistic, religious man. He believed that the public should be told. Okay. James Forrester was also one of the first known abductees. When he began to talk to leaders of the opposition party and the leaders of Congress about the alien problem, he was asked to resign by Truman. Good God, man. All right. He expressed his fears to many people. Rightfully, he believed that he was being watched. This was interpreted by those who were ignorant of the fact as paranoia. Forrestal later said to have suffered a mental breakdown. He was ordered to mental ward of Bethesda Naval Hospital. I know I'm not saying that right. Bethesda? Sorry. In spite of the fact that the administration had no authority to have him committed, the order was carried out. In fact, it was feared that Forrestal would begin to talk again. He had to be isolated and discredited, of course. His family and friends were denied permission to visit. These tactics, man, they're getting old. They're just getting old, and I don't know if the people are buying. It's crazy. Anyway, the live alien that had been found wandering in the desert from the 1949 Roswell crash was named EB. The name had been suggested by Dr. Vanneer Bush and was short for extraterrestrial biological entity. Extraterrestrial biological entity, EB. EB had a tendency to lie, and for over a year would give only the desired answer to questions asked. Those questions which have resulted in an undesirable answer went unanswered. At some point during the second year of captivity, he began to open up. The information derived from EB was startling, to say the least. This compilation of his revelations became the foundation of what would later be called the Yellow Book. The Yellow Book. Photographs were taken of EB, which, among others, I was to view years later. So Bill Cooper said he's seen these pictures. In late 1951, EB became ill. Medical personnel had been unable to determine the cause of EB's illness and had no background from which to draw. EB's system was chlorophyll-based, and he processed food into energy, much the same as plants. Waste material was excreted the same as plants. Several experts were called in to study the illness. These specialists included medical doctors, botanists, and entomologists. A botanist, Dr. Guillermo Mendoza, was brought in to try and help him recover. Dr. Mendoza worked to save EB until June 2nd, 1952, when EB died. Dr. Mendoza became the expert on at least this type of alien biology. The movie E.T. is thinly disguised story of EB. I believe it. In a futile attempt to save EB and to gain favor with this technologically superior race, the United States began broadcasting a call for help early in 1952 into the vast regions of space. The call went unanswered, but the project dubbed Sigma continued as an effort of good faith. President Truman created the super secret National Security Agency by secret executive order November 4, 1952. Can I just say something? When you set the precedent to start doing things in secret, that you open up the gates of hell right then and there, right? So we did this to ourselves. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can get, because JFK gave a great speech on secrecy, and we don't even have to listen to the whole thing. Just the beginning of that speech says it all. Tells us why he got his head blown off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger.
Listen to this.
That an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment.
There you go. There you go. So we were warned by several different people. They're here now, though, right? They're here now. No one. Let's keep on reading. President Truman created the super secret National Security Agency, right? Its primary purpose was to decipher the alien communications language and establish a dialogue with the extraterrestrials. This most urgent task was a continuation of the earlier effort. The secondary purpose of the NSA was to monitor all communications and emissions from any and all electronic devices worldwide for the purpose of gathering intelligence, both human and alien, and to contain the secret of the alien presence. Project Sigma was successful. The National Security Act also maintains communication with the lunar base and other secret space programs. By executive order of the President, the National Security Act is exempt from all laws which do not specifically name the NSA in the text of law as being subject to that law. That means if the agency is not spelled out in the text of any and every law passed by Congress, it is not subject to that or those laws. The NSA now performs many other duties and, in fact, is the premier agency within the intelligence network. Today, the NSA receives approximately 75% of the monies allotted through the intelligence community. The old saying, where the money goes, therein the power resides, is true. The DCI today is a figurehead maintained as a public ruse. The primary task of the NSA is still alien communications, but now includes other extraterrestrial projects as well. Now, again, this is what, 30 years old? 2000, 2010, 2020, 35 years old almost. It would be easy to say this guy was lying and he was bugging out, but it's not that easy if just in the last few years they decided, they meaning the government, that they're gonna create a new branch of military that has nothing to do with Air Force. This is called Space Force. This is called Space Force. It's a military. It's a department. It's under the Department of War. I don't know if that's registering to you. This is not like this is under the Urban League department. There's a new branch of military that has more focus above the air. For the air, we have Air Force. Sorry. Michael Wilbur says you was born without your consent. Well, that is true. That part is true. And I don't know if anybody had consent after that. You came out the womb, they snatched you up, they threw a social security number on you, they threw a birth certificate docket number on you, and they threw you in the portfolio of the United States to be traded as collateral with the central bank. And that's what happened. What's going on with this light here? Oh, my light is blown? It's a brand new truck. That's crazy. All right, let's get some more light in this joint. Some more light. All right, let's keep on reading a little bit more, and then I'm gonna stop after this because he does go into the Bilderberg group, and I want to go into a little bit of that, and then God knows where I'll go after that. So let's just read this next paragraph. President Truman had been keeping our allies, including the Soviet Union, informed of the developing alien problem. This had been done in case the aliens turned out to be a threat to the human race. Plans were formulated to defend the Earth in case of invasion. Great difficulty was encountered in maintaining international secrecy. Yeah, you think? It was decided that an outside group was necessary to coordinate and control the international efforts in order to hide the secret from the normal scrutiny of governments by the press. The result was the formation of a secret ruling body which became known as the Bilderberg Group. The group was formed and met for the first time in 1952. They were named after the first publicly known meeting place, the Bilderberg Hotel. The public meeting took place in 1954. They were nicknamed the Bilderbergers. The headquarters of this group is Geneva, Switzerland. The Bilderbergers evolved into a secret world government that now controls everything. The United Nations was then and is now an international joke. Well, we've seen this, the amount of times that people break the international law and the United Nations does nothing. It does nothing. Beginning in 1953, a new president occupied the White House. He was a man used to a structured staff organization with a chain of command. His method was to delegate authority and rule by committee. He made major decisions, but only when his advisors were unable to come to a consensus. His normal method was to read through or listen to several alternatives and then approve one. Those who work closely with him have stated that his favorite comment was, "Just do whatever it takes." He spent a lot of time on the golf course. This was not unusual for a man who had been career Army with the ultimate position of Supreme Allied Commander during the war, a post which had earned him 5 stars. The president was General of the Army Dwight David Eisenhower. I see some more things. I'm going to keep reading because I see some more things down here that look pretty interesting that you might want to know. During his first year in office, 1953, at least 10 or more crashed discs were recovered, along with 26 dead and 4 live aliens. Of the 10 dead, 4 alive were found in Arizona, 2 in Texas, and 1 in New Mexico, 1 in Louisiana, 1 in Montana, and 1 in South Africa. There were hundreds of sightings. Eisenhower knew that he had to wrestle and beat the alien problem. He knew that he could not do it by revealing the secret to the Congress. Early in 1953, the new president turned to his friend and fellow member of the Council of Foreign Relations, Nelson Rockefeller. Hello. Eisenhower and Rockefeller began planning the secret structure of alien task supervision, which was to become a reality within 1 year. The idea for MJ-12 was thus born. Let me just say this, and I don't know why this light right here is not coming on. Let me just say this. I'm not asking, but I definitely know that alien presence is down here. But I use that word alien skeptically because, in true to what I believe, they may not be the aliens. Not all of them. I believe that many of the Homo sapiens sapiens, the group, not many, but the group Homo sapiens sapiens, we were created by some superior geneticists. Now, if that sounds wild, I don't know why it sounds wild to you, because we clone people now, right? We're creating humans now. Did you hear about the doctor from China who went to jail for creating a group of twins that were immune to catching AIDS? Yeah, he went to jail for that. He created 2 girls, twins, and they cannot catch AIDS. Which tells us, if you could do that, you could do so much more. You could have got rid of cancer. You could have did a lot of things, but you're not doing it because, obviously, money. Right? So I'm not worried about the alien conversation. I mean, if you look at the text, not only the one that was plagiarized by the so-called Hebrews, but let's just take that one, right? Let's take Genesis, first chapter. You don't even get out of chapter 1, and they like, yo, there was a group of superior beings that was down here creating other people. That is in Genesis 1:26. And I guess that wouldn't be a big deal if that wasn't plagiarized from the Mesopotamian stories. Because, in fact, if you read the creation tablets of Samaria, you're going to read not maybe where these Hebrews got the story from, where they got the story from. Never mind nonsensical people like Wes Huff that want to what actually happened. Listen, man, these people took this story and they turned it into this. There's many stories around the world gotta shut up. Shut up. one civilization is older than the other, right? We just talking logic. Why would I argue back and forth with you about many countries have a story? Yo. One comes before two? Yes or no? Does one come before five? Yes or no? So why would I entertain your stupidity? I don't want to hear about many countries have a story about creation. No. We're going back to the furthest. And the furthest tell us the Sumerians had the first story. And then so until you could prove different, not China, not even India. So they got the oldest story. Why would I believe the second story? That's ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. The two oldest stories talk about these master geneticists that were able to create human beings. And we could do the same thing today. That being the case, seeing how aggressively Elon Musk is trying to get to Mars, I tend to believe that they either know where they come from and trying to get back there, or indeed shapeshifters. Elon has this thing that he does where he just wigs out and he's like, he just bugs out. Some people think it's autism, as I used to think it was autism. Then I realized, he could just be an alien bugging out, trying to stay in character, trying his best to not morph into something right on camera. He's working feverishly to get to Mars. Now, after the last shenanigans that happened with C-19 and Dr. Fauci giving China a grant to do the work that was illegal to do in the United States, so he gave China money to do it over there, then act like, they mistakenly, shut up, bro. Shut up. Please don't talk to me like I'm an idiot, right? Because I know y'all all working together. There's no, China did it. Y'all all working together. Y'all all working together. And if y'all won't tell the people, y'all trying to y'all got a plan for one world order, then I will tell the people that y'all have a plan for one world order. And I'm not even surprised at the one world order part, or shocked, or I don't even know if I'm worried about the one world order part. That's not my biggest concern is how you're really trying to tap into our anatomy and do another upgrade on our anatomy without our consent. And I don't know by who. I don't trust Bill Gates at this point. I don't know if he's fully a humanoid Homo sapien at this point, because he seems overly concerned about tapping into our anatomy, right? That has nothing to do with money. So it either has something to do with power, or it has something to do with an instruction you was told to do, but by who is the question. Why would you want access to our anatomy? And as we get information from the Epstein files, we've seen that Jeffrey Epstein was on the same type of business, wanting his DNA code and the COVID shots. So these are not Homo sapien characteristics. These are the characteristics of an entity that feels like it is superior to you, but is hiding down on this planet until the right time so that they can re-enslave you, but they already have us enslaved. But this will be a more aggressive enslavement, because at that point they will have access to our DNA directly. All of the processes will be very orchestrated and controlled. And if you do not listen, they will have the legal precedent to put you in a concentration camp, which is really a jail. The executive orders are already in. This is not conspiracy theory. I've given you the executive orders today. How about you go look them up yourself if you don't believe anything that I have read today? So what they're doing is rocking you to sleep every 4 years when they ask you to pick a president, and they're making you seem involved when in fact you are not involved, but this is the same bloodline of reptilians that have existed for thousands of years. Let me read this here. Plans were formulated to defend the Earth in case of an invasion. Great difficulty was encountered. I read that. I read about the Bilderberg group. The Bilderbergers involved in, beginning in 1953, a new president occupied. That was Dwight Eisenhower. Yeah. During his first year in office, 1953, at least 10 or more crashed. I read that. Eisenhower knew. Eisenhower knew that he had to wrestle and beat the alien problem. Early in 1953, the new president turned to his friend and fellow member, David Rockefeller, and they came up with the Majestic 12. It was Nelson's uncle, Winthrop Aldrich. Jesus, Aldrich. What do I know that fucking name? Wasn't he one that helped Paul? Who's the German Jew that came up with our economic system in 1910? It was Aldrich and Wahlberg. Paul Wahlberg and Aldrich. Anyway, let's keep on going. It was Nelson's uncle, Winthrop Aldrich, who had been crucial in convincing Eisenhower to run for president. The whole Rockefeller family, and with them the Rockefeller empire, had solidly backed Ike. Eisenhower, however, belonged heart and soul to the Council of Foreign Relations and the Rockefeller family. Asking Rockefeller for help with the alien problem was to be the biggest mistake Eisenhower ever made for the future of the United States and maybe for humanity. Within 1 week of Eisenhower's election, he had appointed Nelson Rockefeller chairman of Presidential Advisory Committee on Government Organization. Rockefeller was responsible for planning the reorganization of the government, something he had dreamed of for many years. New Deal programs went into one single cabinet position called the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. When the Congress approved the new cabinet position in April 1953, hit the like button for me. Hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. When the Congress approved the new cabinet position in April 1953, Nelson was named to the post of Undersecretary to Oveda Cope Hobby. I don't know what that means. In 1953, astronomers discovered large objects in space which were tracked moving towards Earth. He's saying this in 1953. It was first believed that they were asteroids. Later, evidence proved that the objects could only be spaceships. Project Sigma intercepted alien radio communications. When the objects reached the Earth, they took up a very high geosynchronous orbit around the equator. There were several huge ships, and their actual intent was unknown. Project Sigma and a new project, Plato, through radio communications using the computer binary language, were able to arrange a landing that resulted in face-to-face contact with alien beings from another planet. This landing took place in the desert. The movie Close Encounters of a Third Kind is a fictionalized version of the actual events. Project Plato was tasked with establishing diplomatic relations with this race of space aliens. A hostage was left with us as a pledge that they would return and formalize a treaty. In the meantime, a race of humanoid aliens landed at Homestead Air Force Base in Florida and successfully communicated with the U.S. government. This group warned us against the race orbiting the equator and offered to help us with our spiritual development. They demanded that we dismantle and destroy our nuclear weapons as the major condition. They refused to exchange technology, citing that we were spiritually unable to handle the technology we already possess. And by spiritual, they more than likely meant being aware of how frequency resonates. They would never give us that type of information. They already gave it to us. Well, they didn't give it to us, but it's already out there. And you're free to acknowledge that and proprietize that over a dogmatic religion. However, dogmatic religion is still advertised and perpetuated for now. To me, dogmatic religion doesn't make any sense because it just doesn't make any sense. It didn't start on a strong foundation. It's not going to end on a strong foundation. If it started on lies, where does it end? On lies. That's just it. But I usually get in trouble for that type of rhetoric, so I don't stay away from it, but tonight I know I don't have the energy or the fortitude to get into that. So it says, in the meantime, a race of humanoid aliens landed at Homestead Air Base, and they was also telling the United States, listen, you got to do things a different way, man. So now it looks like we have two different type of aliens down here. At best, at least, because I do believe there's more. But he's talking about some, more than likely, some type of grays that were down here scooping up people and in body parts like they would freaking Slim Jims. And then a more humanoid alien presence. What could just be part of our ancient ancestors, though. You understand? There's a sun that is burning out in the Lion constellation. And that sun, it takes a sun like billions of years to do that. Billions of years. So it tells you how long whatever this reality is has been. So just like Elon Musk saying, yo, we got to get out of here, for whatever reason, he's not going to tell you why we got to get out of here. That's number one. We've all seen the movie 2012, right? So there's obviously something that is coming within the next whatever, how many years. All I know is Elon Musk and these people went off of this planet. Whatever they know, they definitely went off this planet, right? And then how bad does it have to be for you to want to go to a planet that is just red? It doesn't even have enough oxygen to sustain. They're so desperate. They're just thinking about ways on the fly that we could just create oxygen when we get there. We could terraform it and we'll be fine. They're thinking of anything. Because whatever's going to happen to Earth, and I'm hearing a lot of different things, right? I've heard there is a fleet on Saturn that may be coming here with an enormous military. I've heard that. I'm not going to repeat that on the internet as factual and true. What do I know? I don't know that. To be repeating it like, yo, this definitely, I don't know that. I can only tell you what some other people have heard, and they say they heard it from some top military people or people in the know. I am neither one. So I have to be careful running around repeating stuff. It says a third landing at Muroc, now Edwards Air Force Base, took place in 1954. The base was closed for 3 days and no one was allowed to enter or leave during that time. The historical event had been planned in advance. Details of a treaty had been agreed upon. Eisenhower arranged to be in Palm Springs on vacation. On the appointment day, the president was sprinted to the base. The excuse was given to the press that he was visiting a dentist. Oh, really? Witnesses to the event had stated that 3 UFOs flew over the base and then landed. Anti-aircraft batteries were undergoing live fire training, and the startled personnel actually fired at the crafts as they passed overhead. Luckily, the shells missed and no one was injured. President Eisenhower met with the aliens on February 20th, 1954, and a formal treaty between the alien nation and the United States of America was signed. We then received our first alien ambassador from outer space. He was the hostage that had been left at the first landing in the desert. His name and title was His Omnipotent Highness Krill, and Krill pronounced Krill or Krill. In the American tradition of disdain for royal titles, he was secretly called Original Hostage Krill or Krill. I don't know why they wrote that twice. Shortly after this meeting, President Eisenhower suffered a heart attack. Is that a fact? Damn. 4 others present at the meeting were Franklin Allen of the Hearst newspapers, Edwin North of Brookings Institute, Gerald Light of metaphysical research fame, and Catholic Bishop McIntyre of Los Angeles. Their reaction was judged as a microcosm of what the public reaction might be. Based upon this reaction, it was decided that the public could not be told. Later studies confirmed the decision as sound. This is crazy. An emotionally revealing letter written by Gerald Light spells it out in chilling detail. My dear friend, I have just returned from Muroc. The report is true, devastatingly true. I made the journey in company with Franklin Allen of the Hearst paper and Edwin North of Brookings Institute and Bishop McIntyre of LA. Confidential names for the present, please. when we were allowed to enter the restricted section after about 6 hours in which we were checked on every possible item, event, incident, and aspect of our personal and public lives, I had the distinct feeling that the world had come to an end with fantastic realism. For I have never seen so many human beings in a state of complete collapse and confusion as they realized that their own world had indeed ended with such finality as to beggar description. The reality of other plane aerial forms is now and forever removed from the realms of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. I'm going to stop right there. At first, I was like, well, why wouldn't you tell the people? But I'm going to keep it real with you. I get up here and I tell people how I forensically go through history and tell you that what you was taught for religion is not true. People get so hurt. I mean, they get hurt. They turn me off. Not tonight, Saladin. Bop. Let's go watch cat videos. Let me tell you something. They are going to announce the presence of the aliens. And you are going to be hurt. You know why? Because you're going to realize in that moment, damn, fucking aliens came here before Jesus? Oh, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be hurt. And they're going to brush that fucking story off like it never even happened. That's what's going to happen. They're going to brush that story off like it never even happened. The whole religious thing, if you're alive. So I kind of get why they'll... At first, I'm like, yo, man, that ain't fair. Give it to the people. But I ran across a lot of different types of people. I've been all over this America. They not ready, man. They not ready. I'm kind of in agreement with that. Sadly, I don't want to. I would love to say, nah, man, give this to the people, man. They need to know for a fact aliens are down here. They are not fucking ready, bro. All type of heinous shit is going on the planet, and they waiting for some man in open-toed sandals to return. They not fucking ready. They not fucking ready. Shitting me? It don't matter what you show them. It don't matter. Wait till they show you them fucking... Wait till they show you them aliens, though. You gonna be all right. You gonna be all right, my man. My man Stan from Afghanistan, huh? The reality of other plane aeroforms is now forever removed from the realms of speculation and made a rather painful part of the consciousness of every responsible scientific and political group. During my 2 days visit, I saw 5 separate and distinct types of aircrafts being studied and handled by our Air Force officials with the assistance and permission of the Etherians. Oh, that's what they call them? I have no words to express my reaction. It has finally happened. It is now a matter of history. President Eisenhower, as you may already know, was spirited over to Morocco one night during his visit to Palm Springs recently. And it is my conviction that he will ignore the terrific conflict between the various authorities. I I think they're gonna go through with Project Bluebeam. I mean, they have the drones. It's just going to be ridiculous to try to present. Like, what are you going to do after that? You're going to say, oh, Jesus returned. You're going to put Jesus in the sky? I don't even know how they plan this resurrection thing. Like, it's going to be so ridiculous when nobody rises up to go to heaven. I think that is going to blow that sort. So they got to be real careful how they bring back Jesus, right? If they are planning to bring back a hologram, what color is he going to be? There's so many things to do. Doesn't the book say he has skin of brass and hair of wool? If they put up a hologram of this guy looking like the traditional Jesus, that's going to blow everybody away. Like the white guy from the film, from the pictures, that's going to look crazy. That's just going to look fucking crazy. But here's the thing. I know they got the audacity to do it, right? They definitely got the audacity. Somebody in the think tank is like, yo, you think we should make them like more Middle Eastern? Nah, make them snow fucking white. All right, let's do it. I like where you're going with this. Somebody's going to be the arrogant asshole, and everybody's going to be like, who the fuck is that? This is Jesus, your Lord and Savior. Oh, you're going to lose a lot of people right then and there, right? But you will not lose the fanatics in the Bible Belt. They're going to be down with it. They're going to be like, hell yeah, Jesus is back. You're going to lose them when they're not resurrected to nothing, right? They're just going like, we seen Jesus, he's here. All the closet homosexuals gonna try to straighten up their act real quick and shit. No, I'm not like I loves women, women's. Yeah. Let's see what happens with the gay rate when Jesus returned. I bet that bitch drop. Huh? See, let's see how many gays we got when Jesus returns. Who's still talking that gay shit? In any event, it will be short-lived because nobody will be going to heaven or hell. And people, if I know people like I know I do, and I know I do, they're going to be back on the gravy train. Huh? They're gonna be right back in bathhouses fucking around on that bullshit within a week. So you only got a week to pull this Jesus return bullshit in the skies with your drones. And then they going back to sinful ways, my boy. Because that's what they do. But like the alien said, we are not spiritually mature at all. But I also think that not everybody running the show is a human being. So that's part of the problem. What's not the problem, as I end my show, is the plans that they have for you. Now, I can't do a show and give you everything like in one show. So you're going to have to subscribe to my show. I'm not begging everybody to subscribe to my show. I don't do what I'm doing so I could become fucking Billy Carson. I'm happy to do what I do because people like Bill Cooper has passed away. Somebody has to pick up the baton. Somebody has to pick it back up. Someone that's not afraid, though. You understand? I'm not afraid. And by afraid, there's a lot of people that I felt would help me, but they are more politically correct and they're worried about like, you got to worry about your reputation, I guess, if you don't really want that smoke. This shit ain't for everybody. I can tell you that. It ain't for everybody. So when you look at the tactics that the people that occupy Israel right now use, they're very, very tactful, systematic, genius, right? And I told you that before. They got everything is. They got an answer for everything already, right? Whether it's the ADL, whether it's APAC, the think tanks, like they are moving and grooving in ways that many of us should. When you got 80% of the world that don't want to talk about them because someone told us that it was politically incorrect to mention them, and in fact you are just a scared ass bitch. Well, they got you now, and they're gonna take advantage of you. And look what they did. They got us involved in a goddamn war that our Congress did not sanction, right? And the more you even try to voice that on your so-called social media app, you will be penalized in some sort of fashion. Either they will demonetize you, they're gonna deplatform you. It only works, people, and remember this, it only works if we stick together. And I'm not talking about sticking together to hate one. That's not what I'm saying at all. Don't take my words and flip them around. But when we see people out here doing bullshit and they're trying to use the reverse psychology on us, right? President Trump said he's the maker of peace. And then these are Edward Bernays tactics. These are tactics that they teach in college to crystallize the human mind. Don't fall for stupid shit like this. If somehow your delicate heart has fallen upon my YouTube channel, I'm telling you to hit the subscribe button and stick with me. Because you need to be unlearned from all the bullshit that you was taught. And it is going to hurt. How do I know? Because I already went through all the things that you about to go through by sticking with me. So all the cognitive dissonance that you going through now, I already went through all of that shit. And it doesn't feel good. I can tell you that right now. It's very painful. Emotionally painful and psychologically painful. It's painful. And you have many questions. But in the end, you will be a better person. Unfortunately, you was used and you was told lies, and they plan on taking more advantage of you. So you better watch out. All right, that's my show. I got more to read. There's something about Project Snowbird down here, Project Red Light. I got more to read, but we won't be reading it today. There's a lot to read. So just rock out with your boy, and we will get to all of this information at some point in time. Do hit the like button. Do share me on your Facebook. And I will talk to you guys somewhere in the future. Yeah, Uncle Andy. You know I'm here for it, man. Salute. Peace out, everybody.